I turned down $100 million Apple deal. No one can pay me to be disrespected. We set our own price for our own art. Let's talk about it. Last but not least, Kanye West. Okay? Kanye West. So we know that the coming of his second Donda album is coming soon. By the time you hear this, the album may have, we're not going to say did, may have dropped, because we know how Kanye rolls. Okay?
Yeah, good move, Knicks.
Listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for it, right? But he did do something very unusual. Not unusual for Kanye, but very unusual as far as when you release an album. And that is not putting it on streaming platforms and putting it on his stem player. So if you remember when we talked about Donda before, we talked about this technology that he have with creating a stem player where it's literally just this round thing, as you can see on the screen for our audio listeners. It's this brown round thing that allows you to manipulate vocals, bass, different instruments, whether you want to fast forward, rewind, record. You can do this all on the stem player. Now, the reason why I'm bringing the stem player up is because he is releasing Donda 2 only on his stem player. He posted on his Instagram, Donda 2 will only be available on my own platform, the stem player, not on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or YouTube. Today's artists get just 12% of the money the industry makes. It's time to free music from this oppressive system. It's time to take control and build our own. Go to stemplayer.com now to order. I sound like a infomercial. That was amazing, right? Now, let's break this all the way down, right? What happened with Apple Music? And he said after 10 albums being under 10 contracts, I turned down $100 million Apple deal. No one can pay me to be disrespected. We set our own price for our own art. Okay. All right. Now, one more thing. Let's look at the stem player. This is a picture from the actual website, and y'all see this price. It's $200. Okay. $200 for you to listen to Donda 2. Okay. Now, where in any other album, you could listen to it for a small fee of $7.99 or $9.99 on a monthly basis, right? Which will give you unlimited music. Kanye is saying, nah, for you to listen to Donda 2, you have to purchase this thing that's in my hand, which is the stem player, right? Of course, I got one because I bought one in the very first one. You know what I mean? Pretty addictive. I love it. However, before I do the full thought in my head, Moose, what do you think about this move of making you listen to an album for $200 pretty much?
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say what I think because I think you're going to say what I think. So I'm going to go in a different direction because I'm going to let you say what I think. Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Okay.
But no, I think the first part of it, for me, right, like the lesson that I take away from it, you put yourself in position to have ownership first, and then you're able to make these kind of moves. Mm-hmm. You know, I know ownership is a big part of the conversation right now in our culture, in our community, and we're big advocates of it on this podcast as well.
Yeah.
But I think at some point we have to do a little bit less talking and a lot more executing. And you see that This move, I'm not going to say it was premeditated, meaning that it was in the plans all along, but what a way to leverage something that he already has in place and bring it back in style, in a unique element to drive traffic in that direction. So now it's just playing, simple supply and demand, or I know that you guys want this. Just as many people do with everything Kanye comes up with, right? There's always high demand for it. So I'm gonna market it. I'm gonna raise turmoil on social media and talk about all the different crazy things that are happening. Yeah. And I'm gonna pull it back from you and say, oh, you want it? You got to get this product right here for $200, right? So very, very, very well thought out. I mean, some people might, I guess, feel some type of way about paying $200 for his art, but you got to admit he's done a lot, or at least created a lot of incredible music that I think if you're a true Kanye fan, you should support. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still a good time to invest back into what he's doing. So I do appreciate just how unique it is. And of course, him being positioned already in a place of ownership to do something like that, that's incredible.
Yeah. Clearly I spend my $200. I spend it, right? I spend it twice.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I spent twice. I got it. I got one in the stash, just in case. You know what I mean? Just in case anything happens to mines, or there's just this high demand, and the demand cannot be met by Kanye. And maybe,
right? Nicky can do it.
Maybe. You know what I mean? But here's my take on it. So, of course, we haven't, like, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. So this, of course, reminds me of the Proud to Pay campaign that Nipsey did, as far as selling his mixtape, his physical mixtape, for $100. Now, this is literally making music physical again and doing it in an innovative way. Because like I said earlier, this allows you to manipulate the tracks. Not only just play it, fast forward, rewind, but you can remove the vocals if you don't want the vocals. You can remove the bass. You could turn and remix it on your own way. So creating a new, innovative way to experience music. I think Kanye has always been big on experience. So from a physical standpoint, raising the bar of, if I'm going to not put it on streaming platforms, I'm going to give you an experience and a different way to listen to this particular thing and carry it every way around. So it's like memorabilia, or however you pronounce it, because I always suck at saying that word, but I think I said it correctly, right? And so, because even when I picked this back up, I was like, oh man, I'm listening to the song again. I could download the other album that he had, the Jesus album, right? And it allows you to replay some of the things where now music is going so fast. Like something drops and then something else drops next week, and you totally forget about the album that you supposedly loved and thought was a classic.
Yeah.
Right? This is reminding you and letting you play this over and over again, whereas before your phone, or however you listen to your music, is bombarded with brand new music every single week, where this player necessarily isn't, unless you upload new things. Now, the thing that I love about this is because the stem player isn't new. The stem player came out in the first album, but didn't get enough shine. Like, people talked about it. If you were a true Kanye fan, or listen to Nicky and Moose, you feel me? If you were a true Kanye fan, you knew about the stem player, right? It got announced around that whole confusion of when Donda was actually going to come out. It shipped several months later, like everything of Kanye, right? So it didn't get enough shine that it was supposed to. So here is a way of repurposing your products and services that didn't get enough love before by attaching it to something new. So what he did was, okay, this product didn't get enough love. People are going to, there's a demand for this album. Let me attach it to the product that didn't get enough love so there can be a demand now instead of just letting this sit on the shelf. So I look at that as this was a whole lesson for brands on some, there's going to be some things that you drop that may sit on the shelf for a little bit because it got overpowered by something you were already doing, right? It just didn't get love at that time. You didn't have the right audience. But how can we relaunch this particular thing and make it more into a need instead of a want? Because now this is a need. You need this player in order to listen to the album. And everybody wants to listen to the album because the way he's been marketing it is he going to talk about Kim? Is he going to address the marriage? Is he going to address Pete and Cudi? Is he going to diss Cudi? Like, there's a lot of hype around this particular album. The listening party, the tickets went on sale. I think the highest one from a VIP standpoint was about $1,000 some, right? You can get in for as low as, I believe, 90 something dollars, right? See, so he's doing a lot. Once again, we're going to talk about it on another episode with the documentary. There's a lot of things happening, right? And so with him knowing that there's a lot of things happening, he probably understood that the player was going to get drowned out again. Mm-hmm. And he probably invested a good amount of money because it's pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
So now he's like, okay, I'm going to make this, I'm going to say I totally am not putting it on streaming platforms, even though I believe he will eventually.
Eventually, for sure.
Yeah, eventually. I believe he will, right? I'm not putting it on streaming platforms. I'm putting it on my own platform, which is an actual product, right? Which now people are curious. What? Who does that, right? But it costs $200 to listen to an album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like what you always call repurposing content. He repurposed his product.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, oh, okay, let me drive traffic back this way. Mm-hmm. The other thing that came to mind from like a business standpoint, I know that most tech products average have, say, a 30 to 40% profit margin. Mm. So and in this case, it's probably higher because what it costs to make the album is something that you are going to probably produce or pay just one time, mm-hmm. and it can be downloaded onto the technology forever afterward.
Yep.
So if he's saying that through traditional music deals, he was only able to see 12% back from what the industry made off of his music, he's going to triple, quadruple, or maybe even make more than that mm-hmm. for a limited time. Like you said, push the popularity of the product. And then I'm sure at some point he's going to let it, give it back to or put it on a streaming platform at some point. So he doesn't necessarily miss out on it, but he does increase his profit margin, which is a huge benefit when you think about it from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm. But also, when you start making it back into a physical standpoint, now you can count sales way mm-hmm. easier than streams.
Yeah.
So he could become platinum maybe even before the album drops. Because how he reported it, it was like 67 when he dropped it, 67,000 were available, and he was making 3,000 every single day.
Oh, like producing new ones?
Producing it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now I'm interested to see when it gets actually shipped. That's going to be interesting. I need somebody. One of our listeners or viewers, please buy the stem player and keep us tracked with how long the shipping was, because I think it shipped for me 2-3 months after the album dropped
After you
or something.
purchased?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was it was very interesting. But I got mines, and so on the day supposedly it drops, I can plug it and just download it immediately, which is pretty cool because it makes you think. It got my brain thinking, what is something that you could create that can always add value to your customers? So,
existing customers too.
right.
Yeah.
So it, of course, like I said, it reminds me of Nipsey, because when we think about the Marathon store back in Crenshaw, if you scan the tags at the store, it would give you exclusive content. And he can upload content at any time and say, yo, all the people who have the blue Crenshaw shirt, rescan your tag. I just added some new songs, right? So now Kanye is literally doing the same thing. Yo, anybody who has a stem player, upload the new joint. When the Andre 3000 song leaked and everything, and he officially released it, it released on the stem player.
Oh, nice.
And then it released on the streaming platforms and everything like that. But you're able to listen and manipulate it on the actual player. So not only does Kanye teach us, okay, how to repurpose a product or service or a piece of content that maybe didn't hit the way it should have, and just attach it to something new that has demand, but he also teaches the importance of always over-delivering to your customers, always over-delivering to your followers in a unique way, right? What is something that you have that can always deliver things? The first thing I think about is NFTs. With this whole new craze with NFTs, one of the abilities is you can airdrop new content, new NFTs to the holders. So I think this is pretty cool. I appreciate it. I love it a lot. I'm looking forward to whenever the album drops, because I'm not sure when the album drops, but it's going to be fire. So that's what I'll say.